with your Nazi sensibility. Push in the sky when you stimulate me mentally.
What's good, y'all? It's your girl .shae, aka Unapologetic.shae. Welcome to my YouTube channel, baby. Okay. So what's good, y'all? Thank you for joining in, watching this video. If you haven't seen the other two videos, it's basically me sharing my solo travel adventures. So if you're into solo traveling, definitely go check that out. Basically what I plan to do with this channel is to share those type of adventures, and also like not just solo traveling to different states and different countries, but also solo traveling in my own community. Because, and when I say solo traveling, more just exploring on my own, taking myself to lunch, dinner, going to a comedy show, going to the movies, going to an art museum, anything that I feel like doing and I want to go do it. If I don't have anyone to go with, I'm gonna just go by my damn self. So I'll be sharing those type of adventures as well. Also, what this channel is about is also diving into those deeper conversations, especially when it comes to mental health. Sorry, I'm speaking a little bit fast. But especially when it comes to mental health, I am a mental health professional and my background is in psychology. So I do like to explore those type of conversations and deeper understandings and meanings when it comes to certain things. With that being said, I also want to talk a little bit about spirituality, personal self-growth, and self-development, just because that's something that I am familiar with on a personal level and just also through research. So basically, you just want to dive into helping others kind of develop what they want in life. The focus of this video is going to be tips on how you can start living unapologetically. So before I dive too deep, or before I jump right into those tips that I want to share, I do want to share a little bit about me. As mentioned, my name is .shae, and I am unapologetic. Okay. I am from New Mexico. I'm 25 years old, and I grew up, like I said, I'm from New Mexico, so I grew up around a whole lot of white folks and a whole lot of Mexican folks. And there's a little bit of us and a little bit of indigenous folks and a little bit of Asian folks, right? And some other groups that were there. So a lot of the childhood adversity that I experienced was not fitting in and not feeling comfortable being myself, because I felt like I always had to adapt to other ways of how people perceive life. Like, God forbid, a woman gets upset, right? And then you're labeled with all these other things, and it's just a lot. And so I had to learn how to become a chameleon in a lot of my environments, being able to adjust who I was just to fit into a box that people had already labeled me in. I remember being maybe 16 years old, and I was working at my first job. It was a fast food restaurant, and this girl walked up to me and she started telling me how one of my best friends at the time was her favorite black person, and that I was this other Hispanic girl's favorite black person. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, I remember experiencing shit like that, and I remember the type of stigmas and labels that the few black girls that did go to my school were placed in. If you saw a black girl upset, y'all already know she was an angry black woman, right? The quiet black girl that got along with everybody but just didn't say much, and she was just cool. Most people just left her alone. There was a few of them. But if you felt somewhere in the middle, you were very quickly to be labeled on one extreme or the next. I'm a very eccentric person. Like, I'm very different from a lot of my counterparts. I'm into a lot of stuff. I talk about a lot of stuff. I'm very goofy. I was always labeled by everybody that knew me on a personal level as that super bubbly chick, that Oreo, black girl, black on the outside, white on the inside, which, girl, how could you compare? Anyways, the blonde. I was labeled all kinds of stuff growing up, and I used to accept that. I was like, well, maybe I am different, which I am, but maybe I am slow. Maybe I am just book smart. And I realized that the labels that people were putting onto me, I started to accept them as to be true, which isn't the case, right? We are allowed to be who we are, and if we also are allowed to define who we are and want to be. And people are always going to find ways to label you, at least to fit the perception that they already have of you, or the one that they already want to make of you, right? And so even as adults, where oh, you're a little different, you're special, like those type of passive comments that are accepted by those type of people, and they try to make you be okay with it. It's not okay, right? And so I had to really define who I was and accept the qualities that were true of me, but also redefine them in my way. I'm not fucking special. I mean, I am that bitch. You better recognize this, okay? But I'm not a fucking blonde. I never was. I mean, I have dyed my hair a few times. And no, I'm not a white girl on the inside. Hello, I'm all this motherfucking melanin. And I ain't trying to offend y'all either, but like, come on now, all this chocolate eccentric goddess. Come on now, come with it. Um, like, it was just the audacity of people to sit here and place me or title me with all these labels and expect me to accept it. And when it got to a point where I was like, I'm not accepting that shit no more, I started speaking my shit, speaking my mind, and letting people have it. Like, not in like a rude or disrespectful way, but letting people know, like, you will not define me that way, you will not disrespect me in that way. And me setting those type of boundaries, as usual, rub people the wrong way because they want you to accept their ideations about you. They want you to accept their beliefs about you. And when you're telling them, no, that is not who I am. That's who you want me to be. And I'm not that. Like, you can, if it helps you sleep at night to have that misconception about me, then baby, that's you. I've already accepted the fact that not everyone's going to like me. Not everyone is for me. I ain't gonna like everybody. And I'm not for everybody. And that's it. And that's all. Like, I have no qualms with that belief, with that ideations. Like, you feel how you feel about me, and that's it, and that's all. And it's based off the perception that you chose to take. And so, through all of the adversities that I experienced in my adolescence, I now live in Texas, in the greater Houston area. And I even noticed the trend still at work, because it's just a part of society where, you know, placing labels on people and placing people in certain boxes fit the agenda, right? The reality is, there's not a motherfucking box in this world that you can fit me in. I just don't fit. I pour out into different areas. Like, I'm creative. Hello, I'm healthy. I am wealthy. I'm adventurous. I am creative. I am determined. I am disciplined. I am rich. I am that motherfucking bitch. I'm that queen. I am her. I am successful. I am prosperous. I am abundance. And I am motherfucking confident. Do you feel me? Like, those are my affirmations that I say to myself, because I have to remind myself daily that I am that motherfucking bitch. I am all of these things. And I'm not just one thing. I'm not just whatever you perceived of me that day. That's not going to be me every day. And a lot of times I would try to show up. Like I said, I had to force myself to be a chameleon, which is why there's literally not a box you can put me in, because in this environment, I can thrive in this way. I can show my talents in this. Like, it was just a lot going on, and I was always having to change how I acted around a certain group to avoid judgment that was already inevitable to come. When people see a different side of me where I'm not super like in a great mood, because I am a person, like, I'm allowed to change my emotions, okay? If I'm not coming to work and I'm not in a super bubbly or talkative mood, I notice how the room perceives me to be that day. I'm angry, I'm mad, I'm upset, something's wrong. Or perhaps I just don't feel like fucking talking. Like, you know, that's a reality that exists. I don't have to fucking talk to you or force a conversation. On the surface level, I know that they don't mean any harm by it, but also on a subconscious level, I know where these misconceptions are coming from, right? Because everyone has different ranges of emotions, but depending on that person and depending on what that person looks like and the energy and the perception that you already have of that person yourself, you're going to label those emotions very different for each person, right? For me, I typically get that label where I'm super happy and bubbly to where I'm just angry. Like, there's no in between. So how did I overcome that, right? How did I get to the point where I said, well, fuck your feelings, fuck your emotions, fuck how you feel about me? Not in like, I don't give a fuck about you, because I'm a very empath and I'm very intuitive and I'm a very empathetic person. It's just more so your views and your perception of me does not define who I am. It doesn't. So first things first, I started reading more books, and I wanted to dive deeper into myself and get a better understanding. I did a lot of inner work. I worked on healing my inner child. I worked on identifying triggers and identifying what started that trigger to begin with, what started that reaction, why am I having that reaction today, and learning how to control my emotions more. I had to do a lot of inner work, and I had to really discover a lot of things about myself. And so I started learning to live by 4 different values, right? Or they all come together. But be impeccable with my words. Be mindful of the words that I speak about myself and to others. So I'm always very cautious about what I'm hearing about myself from other people and what I'm perceiving about myself and how it's being taken, right? So I'm impeccable to say, even though people will define me as, you're very different, you're very special, but they're doing it in a very patronizing way. And then when you call them out on it, it's, well, I don't think anything's wrong with that. Of course you fucking don't. So I had to be more mindful that, again, people are only going to perceive me in the way that they've already accepted to be true for them. Like, the identity of me, they've already made up their entire summary of me based off their first impressions or whatever impressions that they had of me, right? So I had to be more impeccable with my words and how I define myself, and also how I spoke to myself and how I spoke to other people. Always be impeccable with your word. Number 2, don't take shit personally. I had to learn that. I actually really recently started learning that shit, because I used to want to check motherfuckers so quickly. Like, what? How dare you disrespect me? How dare you do this? I had to learn. They only know what the fuck they know. People only know what they know. Don't take it personally. Do not take a hating ass bitch personally. Don't take envy personally. Do not take jealousy personally. Do not take self-hatred that is being projected onto you personally. Do not take negative remarks personally. Do not take the passive aggressiveness personally. Do not take the shit talking, the downplaying, the preying on my downfall personally. Because misery loves company. And if you are not a miserable person, other people will try to project their misery on you to bring you down to the level. And a lot of people are not even aware that they're doing this, because it's something they've been doing for so long that they really don't find fault with it, right? Wrong. You're fucking out of line. But I ain't gonna take it personally. I'm grown. I gotta move on. I'm elevating to a different level, okay? Not only do I not take anything personally, but along with that, I cannot make any assumptions, okay? That one is something that I'm still working on, because if you treat me to one type of way, it is expected of me to assume that you just don't like me. But a lot of times, it could be that you don't like your fucking self, and that is a personal problem that you need to take up with thyself, right? Well, that is something that I have to work on, because people's attitudes, I'm very intuitive in the sense where I pick up on bullshit, and I just have to assume that you woke up and lost your motherfucking mind for coming at me sideways. But along with not taking shit personally, I had to realize I can't make any assumptions. Whether you're having a bad day or a good day, you're angry with yourself, you're angry with me, I'm not going to assume it unless you speak to me directly about what is wrong with you or why you got an issue with me. I'm not going to assume nothing. I'm just going to let it be. I ain't going to ask no questions. Like how people, when I come to work and I don't talk, and everybody assumes that I'm mad. If you go to work and you don't talk, I ain't gonna assume shit. I'm gonna just say, if I feel like speaking to you, hi, how are you doing? How was your weekend? How was your day? If I don't feel like doing none of that, I'm not. If I gotta speak to you first for you to acknowledge me, at some point I'm gonna stop acknowledging you, right? Like, I can see your presence, I can see that you are entered the room, but I don't have to speak to you, right? Easy to do. So I'm not gonna assume that if you're not talking to me that you're mad, at least not at me, because I didn't do shit to make you mad. So why would I assume that? So on to the next one. Do my best. I gotta do my best to be impeccable with my words, be impeccable with how I speak to myself, be impeccable with how I speak to other people. I have to do my best not to take none of that shit personally, to not take anything personally, not to make any assumptions in any case, any scenario, and do my best in everything that I can, because I have to. I can't be making assumptions off of my emotions, off of things that I'm just perceiving without understanding the deeper meaning of it, right? And so how I got to this point was I stopped caring what others fucking thought about me. Period. I really stopped caring. It was not an easy fix. But the reality is people already have their perceptions about you. You trying to change other people's perceptions is not going to work. You have to accept you for who you are and learn to love that part of you. The flaws, the good things, the in between, and the ugly. You have to learn how to accept that, because other people, when they see you on a bad day, they want to fucking keep that image of you because it makes them feel happy that she's having a bad day, or she's not the perfect person that I thought she was. Because a lot of people put this pressure on you based off of the perceptions and ideations that they have already formed about you as a person. Stop giving a fuck about them. Stop giving a fuck about anybody, whether it's your friends, your family. And let me change that wording. Stop giving a fuck about what people think about you. I'm not saying don't give a fuck about nobody, even though I did clearly just say that. But that's not what I'm meaning. Stop giving a fuck about how people perceive you, because whether they're your friends, your family, your co-workers, strangers on the street, people already have a perception about you that is not easy for them to let go of you. And because you cannot always fit that perception on a daily basis, you have to learn how to let go of that type of pressure and expectation of trying to maintain that perception that someone else has already placed on you. So you have to stop caring about what people think about you. So that is something that I started doing in order for me to live my life unapologetically, period. Yeah, so once I realized and began to realize that no matter how well I communicated my boundaries in a very calm, consistent tone, it didn't fucking matter. If I was communicating my boundaries with someone and I expressed them that I didn't like how they came at me, and they in their heads didn't mean to come at me in a bad way, I'm wrong for communicating to them, well, you did. And that's not in every situation, but I find that to be a repeated theme. So I said, you know what? I'm going to continue to communicate my boundaries, but I'm not going to give a fuck about your response, because you're going to respond how you want to respond anyways. And then you're going to try to make me look like a bad person for doing that. Yeah, we're not going to do that there, right? So once I accepted that reality that, like, wow, and I've been in so many situations where I'll be communicating very clearly where someone had me fucked up at in a very professional, calm tone manner, and yet still perceived as if I done lost my motherfucking mind. So, okay, you already have this misconception about me. You already have this perception about me. You already have in your head, in your mind, that this is how you're going to view this situation regardless. So, it is what it is. I had to leave it alone. And so, people's perception of me is a reflection of how they already feel about me as a person. And that is why I had to accept that not everyone is going to like me, not everyone is for me, not everyone is meant to be in my life, and that is okay, because vice versa. I am not gonna like everybody. I am not meant for everybody, and I am not meant to be in everybody's goddamn life, and that's okay. So, some tips that I want to share with you all on how to get to that point where you start living unapologetically, start living the life that you want to live without any restraints, without any fear of judgment, without any fear that you're going to fail, without any fear of just not feeling like you can break boundaries and barriers, right? We got to learn how to start doing that inner work to begin with. And so the first tip, you already know, is do some goddamn shadow work. Okay, y'all, let me adjust the lighting because, you know, I got a little dark outside. Hold on. Okay, y'all, so that is it for this part of the video, okay? I will be posting part 2 next week. So thank you so much if you made it all the way to the end of this video. Stay tuned. I got you next week, and I'm going to keep dropping some more shit, some more gems, some more adventures, some more knowledge, whatever you're in for. Definitely keep coming back. This is your girl, .shae, aka Unapologetic.shae. If you like what you see, go ahead, subscribe, go ahead and leave a comment, go ahead and like, go ahead and share, hit that bell, do whatever you please. Again, thank you so much, and stay tuned for part 2.